Raining out awful. I'd rather see snow. Is that a terrible thing to say?
Yeah, that is.
I don't know, I would like to see snow more.
It's starting to get too muddy, I'd rather see.
I know, yeah.
Although, it was nice to go, I went and washed my father's face, and all of them.
Somebody check the phone to see if we're... Somebody checking our phone to see if we're live. According to this, we're live. Are you checking, Rich?
Oh, I wasn't.
Susan, can you check on your phone to see if we're live?
Yes.
I just checked, certainly left my phone.
This is all yours.
I was charging it.
Want mine? Okay, then I got this.
Mr. Fly, how are you?
Good evening, fine, thank you, yourself?
Oh, I'm here.
Gives you a heartbeat.
Been a long week, and it's only Wednesday.
We kind of rearranged it.
Let's wait till she tells us that we're on. Yeah. I think we are. I think we got this system
Well,
figured out.
November
Took us a year or so.
Yeah, you got this memo too, right?
Yes, I did, yeah, I said, sounds good to you.
Okay. Okay, call the Town of Alexandria Board meeting to order for November 17th, 2021. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing we have is we're going to adjourn the public hearing, so we will do the continuation of the public hearing for the 2022 town budget, including all of the special districts. Does anybody from the public have any comments or want to say anything in relation to our budget? Any of the board members? I have one thing that I'd like to talk about a little bit in relation to the budget. I've had a lot of discussion the last few days and longer than that with Mike Tibbles, and he asked me again to bring the information to the board and to the public hearing about his pay. He's looking for a raise that is more than the 3% that we're giving the rest of the town employees. He's provided me with some other town budgets in the area that pay their highway superintendent more money. Nicole, I don't see that list here that we had in the room for the ones that you had researched.
You want me to go look for it?
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think it's only fair for us to talk about all of them. I just want to let the board know what the different numbers are. I had a discussion with Mike in his office today, and I see something that he was unclear about or misunderstood, and that is the town of Clayton, which the size of Clayton I think is pretty similar to us. I don't know where they stand road miles.
I believe they have, remember
Pretty comparable, aren't
a
they?
year or so ago, we did some research on this same topic, and I think they have actually like more lane miles than we have here, I believe.
Not a lot, it's a good comparable.
Yeah, especially since it's right here and we get this very similar weather and everything else. I got a copy of the notice that was in the TI Sun And as everybody knows, we're required by the state comptroller to advertise the elected officials' wages. And I got a copy of the one for Clayton, just so everybody knows, the wages proposed in this budget for 2022 for Town of Alexandria for the highway superintendent, personal services is $56,173, which is a 3% raise over what he got paid last year, which is the same raise, as I said, as everybody, all town employees got. Okay, I'm gonna go to Clayton's advertisement that I have here on my phone. That is a picture that I took out of the TI Sun. Notice of hearing preliminary budget, hereby given the 2022 preliminary budget of the town of Clayton, beginning on January 1st, 2022, has been completed and filed in the office of the town clerk. The proposed salaries of elected town officers are as follows. Superintendent of Highways is $55,500. When Mike and I spoke this afternoon, he pointed out to me that on the budget that he has here, it shows that he's got it highlighted saying it's $58,000. Well, the $58,000 includes contractual expenses for the highway superintendent of $2,000, and includes equipment and capital of $500. If you go above that, the real wages is what I just said, and it's $55,500. Our number is $56,173. He's got Orleans at $60,639. He's got Cape Vincent at $65,130. He's got Luray, which, what is Luray? That's Watertown, the outskirts of Watertown between here and there. He's got them as $74,000, and these are copies of the budgets that I'm reading this from. He's got Teresa at $66,614. We also have Fowler at $51,392. We have Governor at $51,225. We have Malone at $55,450. We have Oswego at $55,000. We have Parrish at $46,974. We have Rutland at $51,199. We have Sandy Creek at $56,036. And those figures that I just read to you that didn't come from his budgets that I read first, those figures are a year old. So that means their raise or their change is not reflective in those numbers. I told him that I'd bring this up to the board and let everybody, anybody have comments to make, as far as, giving him a larger raise than what the rest of the town employees are getting. If we're gonna give him a larger raise than what the town has got on the budget, then there has to be a motion and a second.
I don't hear anyone supporting it, so I would say that's an answer in itself.
Anybody have anything to say?
Does this include this doesn't include his health?
No, this is gross wages, right, Nicole? This doesn't include health insurance. And he has health insurance? Yeah.
So he has the two-person plan?
Yes.
How much is that?
Like
It's right around,
20,
no,
or
about 14,000. So you've got the health insurance on top of that, which, that brings it up to like 70,000.
Yeah, our previous highway superintendent took the insurance buyout, which was $3,000. I don't know what Dave Bain did before him, but.
Yeah.
So the buyout would save us 15,000, was it?
Well, the question,
Yes.
his question to us is he'd like more than the 56,173 that, we have budgeted. I'm not personally in favor of that. I think what we've got budgeted is fair, and I'd like to move on. But if somebody else differs, happy to hear it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm gonna say is, I'm gonna say that I am in favor of a raise. I'm not gonna say what a dollar amount is, but I've gone through a lot of stuff with Mike and Nicole. We talked about this today as far as, the work that we do for the county. And we've done a lot more work for the county this year than we've done in past years. And when we do work for the county, we get paid by the county. The issue that I question about that is that when we're doing all this work for the county and we're getting paid by the county, that means we're not working on town of Alexandria roads. Okay, and this board has tried very, diligently for the last 2 years to have, we put lots of money in our permanent road improvement line items for the last 2 years. Most that it's, I think we've ever seen. And the purpose of that was to increase the condition of our roads. And this year, we did see a bunch of paving done in Redwood, and we saw a tremendous amount of surface treatment done. So we are getting, the roads, I think, are getting better, or they're getting more attention than they've gotten in the past. So that's, I just wanted to say that's where I'm coming from. If the other 4 members feel that it's fine where it is, then so be it, and,
It's not outside, all the towns around us are basically, and in some aspects, it's actually above in some of them. So I don't, like with Ron, I think we need to move on.
It's unfortunate that whoever did his research for him didn't have accurate numbers. So it led him to believe he was actually in a position that he's not, which is under a lot of those towns.
So I can make it unanimous? I say the same thing.
Okay,
Let's move on.
I agree, move on.
so this is a public hearing for the budget. I've asked if the public has any questions or concerns, about the budget, and if the board members would like to bring up anything in relation to the budget. We're required by law to adopt this budget no later than November 20th, and this is November 17th.
The only thing that I'm concerned about, and I brought it up yesterday in our budget meeting and nothing really was accomplished, was I do feel that the legal fees that we have incurred this year that are currently been paid out of our General A, and correct me if I'm wrong when I say that, Nicole, General A, that are supposed to be to the Redwood Sewer, have not been addressed. And I think we need to have a plan. I do not feel that we can hit the Redwood Sewer District with all of these fees all at one time, but I do feel we need to have a plan in place. Because technically, if we had been putting those, if I understand from our accountant correctly, if we had been putting those fees for that lawsuit right into Redwood Sewer District, as we had been incurring them, when our budget became out of balance, we would need to make a correction within this fiscal year, and we have not done that. And it's crazy to think that these people can afford, a $300-400 increase in their sewer bill next year. But we should have a plan in place of what we're going to do. And that's the only thing that I'm unhappy with the budget. Everything else, I think we've done a great job. But I am uncomfortable and unhappy with that. But in 6 weeks, I'm gone and it's all your problem. Sorry,
So we
I
start,
said my bit.
we started out owing $130,000, right? We've gotten it paid down to 70. And now we've got another 90 to put back into it, right?
And counting.
And the people in Redwood have nothing to do with this.
The majority,
Absolutely
the majority, the majority.
Yeah, majority, right.
Yep,
I mean,
yep, yep,
the
yep.
silent ones,
Yep, that is true.
and they're gonna get hit with it.
And I know yesterday it was pretty much left that, let's wait until the conclusion, because
Will there ever be a conclusion?
because now apparently there's going to be a, what do they call it, appeal, so potentially more costs.
Yeah, and to reiterate what Sandy's saying, so we talked about this yesterday, and we feel that, we should wait, till the decision is made, by the Court of Appeals judges, before we decide what to do. Bob, do you have an idea, timeline, when you appeal something, how long are we looking at?
Well, it's not the Court of Appeals, they've appealed to the Appellate Division, which is the intermediate appellate court, and that's an appeal as of right. They have 6 months from the date that they filed their notice of appeal, which was approximately 2-3 weeks ago, to file the record and their briefs. And then from then, we are given at least 30 days to submit our brief. And then from there, they schedule an oral argument at the Appellate Division, and then typically within the 60 days of oral argument, you get a decision. So you kind of do the timeline, and we're out at least 6 months. Well, we're 6 months.
6 months after the 6 months.
6 months after the 6 months, I would guess. Right.
So, say 7 months from now, they have not appealed, is that the end of it?
They've got a deadline.
Well, all right. So, as I said, the Fourth Department's an intermediate appellate court. You always have an appeal as of right to that court. You only get to the Court of Appeals under certain circumstances. There are a couple of reasons as of right that you can get there, and then otherwise, the Court of Appeals determines whether it wants to hear a case or not, okay?
And they won't make that determination until after the documents have been submitted?
The Court of Appeals won't make its decision on whether to hear any appeal from the Appellate Division until after the Appellate Division renders its decision. So we're probably,
Potentially, there's another step.
That's another
after
step,
this.
that's right.
Right.
Which this one could take
The
up to
appellate
a year.
division, and then if they don't like the decision of the appellate division, then the Court of Appeals, but that's not guaranteed.
Correct.
Being able to go to Rochester is what they call it, which is the appellate division, that's a guarantee, they're allowed to do that. If they wanna spend the money and appeal it, whatever.
You can appeal questions of fact and law to the Appellate Division. So obviously, ours is a fact and law case.
Right.
But right now, we just don't know how much money we're talking, right?
Yeah.
We can still make a decision where it's gonna go.
Well, I think there's two things. One is, we need to decide where this money needs to go. And we've got some documentation here that I was thinking maybe after the hearing, we could talk about it, because these are really current and prior year expenditures that we're talking about, and the hearing is about next year's expenditures. But putting this in where I think we were gonna decide to put it, brings up your point,
Right.
which is with that kind of a deficit, that would affect the income and expenses of Redwood Sewer, because that payback number is going to be a lot higher. So, but based on the fact it's being appealed to the appellate division, and playing devil's advocate, if that were successful, then those would be taken away. But actually, no, they wouldn't be taken away, because they've been incurred, it's gonna happen anyway.
They're still there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
That's what I'm saying.
matter what the decision of the appellate division is, right? Forget I said that. So anyway, I agree with what you're saying, but, so the part you're talking about is the Redwood Sewer.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the hard reality of this whole thing is, there are bills, and bills got paid.
Right.
Yeah.
Legitimately, they can't get paid out of general aid.
No, and I think we realize,
And more than that, is within the fiscal year,
right,
they have to get paid.
Redwood Sewer customers are eventually, at some point in time, gonna be paying, we're gonna be discussing this, but it appears, because of the legal precedent that we've been handed, are going to be paying for the town's portion of this lawsuit,
it's a bad deal.
100%.
Yeah, it's a bad deal for those folks.
It's a real bad deal.
Bob, the regulations, that we dealt with this before when a fund paid the bills that were not within the fund or were not the responsibility of the fund. And when we met with the Contours and talked to them, I'm not sure if that money had to be paid back according to Contour within 1 year of when that borrowing from the fund took place, or within that fiscal year that it happened. That's a technical question.
Yeah, I don't recall what the comptroller said on that.
I'm gonna say that I thought it was within 1 year of when that happened, but Nicole's been paying bills on this lawsuit and for the legal fees and the accounting for going back how far? Well over a year.
Oh,
Way over a year.
back into 19.
Yeah. So even if it's the further one of a year from when you borrowed it, we're out of,
Right.
Yeah,
we're out of.
I'm just saying, we've been
Should be.
paying these bills steadily out of an account that you can't legitimately pay them out of.
Right.
No, and it's out of an account that 4,400 taxpayers contribute to and are part of.
Right.
Whereas the other account that all this paperwork we have in front of us from the comptroller and from the Association of Towns and the legal opinions all say that it has to be from the special district that has 300 and how many people?
Well, 214 customers or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was thinking of water. So, that's the difference.
I know.
I think it's pretty clear right now that the way the budget sits, Redwood Sewer, the amount expected of the customers of Redwood Sewer District is not as high as it should be because of the lawsuit. And it's a question, do we fix that tonight? Do we wait until the appellate division looks at it? Because we can have another public hearing, can't we, Bob, as far as to amend the charges? I mean, anytime you wanna raise the rates in a district, you have to have a public hearing, I believe.
Anytime you want to amend the ordinance, period, you have to have a public hearing before you can amend.
And changing the rate is amending the ordinance,
Right.
so, okay.
But right now, the policy of the board is that rates are set annually after this public hearing that you're holding, or continuing tonight,
Right,
setting it for the next year. And that's been your policy, because if you recall, well, there was a total lack of having public hearings in connection with rate increases.
right.
And so the thought was, if the board disciplines itself to make sure that it considers rates every year along with the rest of the budget, then they're gonna meet all their obligations. That was my understanding of what the board did.
Right, and that part I think we're doing correctly, but now we've got this $80,000 or $90,000 that we haven't, was not addressed when we went through that part of the budget, which was Redwood.
Right.
Water Sewer.
So if we adopt this
Yeah, so
budget
like-
tonight,
O&M went up,
we
right, like
still will
that.
be able to do a public hearing and change the rates via the ordinance in 2 or 3 months from now. But which 2 or 3 months is gonna make a difference, because I think we're talking our time deal here is gonna be 12 months or so before we have a second decision.
Yeah, if the appeal is perfected. I mean, it's a lot of money to perfect an appeal, particularly this one. Just providing enough copies of the record for the members of the appellate division, when your record's easily 1,200, 1,500 pages long, gets expensive.
So I think the important thing is we establish tonight that these bills do go to the sewer district.
Well, that's something that I think we had all planned on talking about.
After this.
That's what it says.
Separate item on the agenda.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with Sandy. I mean, I think the part of this budget, there's one part of this budget that is understated, and that's Redwood Sewer. And it's because of the lawsuit.
As long as we have the ability to go in there and amend these
And raise
rates
it
through the
again.
process,
Right.
then I'd say we move it forward with the budget we have in front of us
Right.
and keep,
Recognizing the fact that
yeah,
this has got to be addressed.
which I think, I'm just gonna say, I think that's an effort by the town board to not hit the people in Redwood with this money right now.
We don't hit them at all.
And exhaust every resource we have to, work on that.
Yeah,
The board did not cause this increase.
nope,
Okay. Anybody else have anything in particular that they wanna talk about in the budget, or if not, take a motion to adopt the budget? Does that have
we
to
have to
go?
close the hearing first, then.
Yep, does that have to go by roll call vote?
You should,
Yeah.
but you need to close the
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second it.
second by Sandy, discussion on the motion? No further discussion, roll call vote?
Well, we gotta vote on the motion to close it.
Yeah.
We gotta vote on the motion to close the.
Okay, I'm
the
sorry.
hearing.
Yeah, but it's a roll call vote, isn't it?
Yeah, with the one to
We're closing
adopt,
the hearing.
this is just to close the hearing.
Okay, yeah,
And another
yep.
motion, yeah.
Okay, so all those in favor of closing the public hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay, now we'll take,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt the budget as
Thank you.
presented.
second
I'll second that.
by Mike. Discussion? All those in favor signify by roll call vote.
roll call vote. Yep, Supervisor Brent Wheat,
Yes.
Councilman John Stein,
Yes.
Councilman Sandy Caputo,
No.
okay, Councilman Mike Kayat,
Yes.
Councilman Ron Thompson,
Yes,
okay?
Motion passed. So that's the budget part of it. We'll move on to our regular meeting. Motion to pay the bills.
I have had the opportunity to look through the bills and,
You make the motion?
yep, I'll make the motion that we approve the bills.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yep.
I need a second to pay the bills. Second by Sandy. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
aye.
All those opposed? None. Motion to approve the town board minutes. We have 4 meetings of minutes, or is it 5? It's 4
Four.
in front of us. Go ahead, Mike.
I spoke to Jesse before the meeting, and the one, September 15th, we're kinda, like to hold off, and we already spoke about this.
Yeah, so we're gonna table that one until I change it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the 15th and the 29th, and the 29th has got quite a few things in it that I would like to be able to double check that it
Okay.
is in relation to the cost of the
Yep, right.
dues and O&M and so on and so forth. And, so I can't, I don't know enough about that and haven't researched that enough to approve those minutes either. I can approve the October 20th and November 3rd minutes.
Yes.
So, I need a motion to approve the October, you guys do one at a time, or we do what? October 20th and November 3rd minutes. Need a motion.
I'll make that
Motion by Mike, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Sandy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None.
Okay, so we'll table those other two.
Yeah, and we'll table the November 15th and the September 29th minutes. My God, we got right to the top of the agenda. What's that all about?
Well, a couple of old business items, the Route 12 sewer, we're working now on the design changes at LaCresti and for Pinehurst, you know, that were related to them signing the easements. I believe we have all the easements now, although I haven't heard back, from Joe on a certificate of title. So we need that certificate from Joe to tell us we have all the required easements, so that's number one. I guess Joe's doing that, or is Bob doing that, I don't know.
Joe's doing that, I believe.
Is he? Okay. And we're working on the final DOT submission permit drawings as well on that. So I'd like to say, you know, mid-next month, we're gonna have the drawings done and resubmitted to DC with all the changes that have been made, okay? I am concerned bid prices are crazy. You know, budget's gonna be an issue here, without question. Projects that are going out to bid are coming in way over budget for a number of reasons, but material pricing is the big thing. PVC sewer pipe has a 6 to 9 month lead time, right? So just brace yourselves when we do put this out for bid. Hopefully, by the time we do get out, things are coming down. I have had steel suppliers tell me that they feel that the steel market has topped out. You know, steel prices are triple what they were pre-pandemic. We don't have a lot of steel in this, but PVC pipe industry has really taken a huge jump. So, not to be the bearer of bad news, I think we'd bid it, we'd see what the numbers are, and we deal with the overage at that time. We'd go back to the funding.
But what is your sense of when we can actually put it out to bid?
I would guess it's probably January-ish,
Okay.
you know? And some of that's depends, so we finalize the drawing, we have to send it in, back into the DEC and the USDA rural development, so it's dependent on how quickly they get turned around.
I don't know if you recall, I mean, it's been such a long time ago, but, talked about, there's gonna be a certain amount of excess material generated by this, and we talked about, by January, for sure, the town's gonna have possession of the old Bonnie Castle Rec Center.
We can designate that as a fill area.
We're going to waste material up there in the infield of the.
Sure, we can include that in the bid documents.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be good. It would be good for the contractor and good for the town.
Sure, it's close by.
Yep.
Getting rid of fill has never really been a problem. There's places all along Route 12 that have always wanted fill, so. But if you can use it and make your improvement property, certainly.
Well, rather than an additional expense for the town, we can actually.
Exactly.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I don't know, any questions on that, Route 12? Goose Bay boat launch, we still haven't received our Army Corps permit, we inquired, you know, we're ready to go out to bid. I think we're gonna have to make a decision here soon on putting that out without the permit, taking a chance, and then deal with the permit issues later. I really don't wanna wait a whole lot longer on that, but we'll see if the permit comes in by our December meeting, and then make a decision. I don't know if you wanted to talk about the house I looked at in Plessis, is that on the agenda?
On the what?
The house in Plessis,
The yellow house.
the yellow house,
I think
or you wanna put that on hold?
I think what's going on with that is that Bob is talking to the county.
They might be able to help.
Okay,
And we're gonna have to talk to them further, or meet with them, or all the above, because we're pretty sure after you and I went over there that there's a bunch of asbestos in the house.
yep, I'm pretty confident that
Yep.
it'd be an asbestos abatement project.
So that raises the price of demolishing it substantially. And because of that, we'd like to have our I's dotted and T's crossed with the county and see what kind of help we can get, like we did at Jeanette's, or whatever is available from the county.
Well, what they were able to do is Jeanette's has worked with DEC, and get some DEC monies. What the county's talking about with this is that if there aren't any monies out there, let's make sure we work together so that we assess the cost of all that to the real property, and then the county will make us whole. Okay? So either way, we should get our money back out from the county. And, I thought Dave Paulson was pretty responsive on that.
Yes, he was. Yeah, no question.
That's pretty receptive to it, so.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen now, I can't imagine this time of year, it's gonna be torn down, unless it's good to have snow on it, I don't know.
But you have two choices, you know, to tear it down. Either you take the asbestos out, which means an asbestos survey, and you get a contractor in there to take all the asbestos out, or you just determine the whole structure and its contents is asbestos containing. Then you don't have to do exhaustive, you know, abatement project first, but you have to pay the higher tipping fees to get rid of it all. If there were no asbestos in there, and I'm gonna throw numbers out, it'd probably be a $10,000 to $20,000 demo job. With asbestos, it's probably 2.5 or 3 times that, I'm guessing. It's probably closer to a $50,000 bill. It's full of stuff. It's literally, the house is full of garbage, clothes, it's.
Every single room.
And so, from a tipping fee standpoint, there's a lot of garbage. It's not just the structure and the wood and the shingles, it's full of stuff. So whatever you can do to get the county to help, I'd probably say the abatement project is gonna be extremely expensive, because there's no way you can cordon off an area and take plaster ceilings down, because the junk is 4 feet deep in these rooms. You know, so you can't really even, and the plaster is falling from the ceilings and it's contaminated the junk, so you really, I think the only way to do it is to take the whole thing down as an asbestos containing structure.
So the tipping fee is gonna be higher because of that?
Tipping fees are higher for asbestos.
But then you don't have the abatement though.
You don't have the abatement.
So you save on that, pay more.
Save on the abatement, but I think the abatement would be far more money than the tipping fee.
Well, that's on there, so considering the entire thing would be
It's
asbestos.
probably the cheapest way.
Okay,
Yeah, but it's still gonna be more than if it was
More.
just a simple
Right.
structure.
You wet it all down before you?
That would be a requirement, yeah. And you have to demolish it with an asbestos certified contract. You just can't get any demolition contractors to do it, they have to be asbestos certified. You have to have air monitoring, and you have to have, you know, it costs. You know, GNS, we went in there, and GNS, we went in, the building was fine, so we were able to take the asbestos out for, I don't remember, what was it, 12 or 15 grand, and then, and then tear it down, so it wasn't bad, but we could identify the asbestos, get it out of there. Well, here, it's not as identifiable, you know, it's a mess. So, that's really all I had, unless anybody else had anything.
Some of the, meetings that you guys have had, I've heard a lot of talk about Otter Street Sewer District. Do you have any input on that? Because we've talked about that we need to possibly start that process.
Well, yeah, we all watch the news, and, well, lots of different things come up, but we all watch the news, and it's just, the president just signed a great big, infrastructure bill.
Yep.
That being said, is, the next logical step with our sewer, you know, as we're working down Route 12, is Otter Street. We would like you, or I would like you to, start looking into the possibility of creating a district.
So the first step in that is what's called a map plan and report, you know, draw the district boundaries.
Right.
I do a cost estimate, count the number of users, and we come up with what the user cost might be. And then from that report, there's a public hearing process, right, and you can form the district based on some plan of finance. You can assume a plan of finance on what kind of grants you may or may not get to get the user cost down to a reasonable degree, but you have to have that map plan and report in place with that plan of finance, even though the plan of finance might not be 100% known, because the next step then is going out and trying to get the money to finance it. But you can't even really go for grants until you have that map plan report done.
But we'd like to get this started.
Have we applied for a planning grant for that?
We have.
Right, so that's a big part, that's one of the initial steps too, and that's
Yep.
$30,000.
20, I think.
20?
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, to do that planning grant. Now, you can authorize me to start that, and if you want to get ahead of the game, and planning grant announcements will probably come out, I don't know, sometime after the first of the year, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah. But that was one of the 3 grants that we applied for, right?
Correct.
Not that we were talking about, should hear by before first year.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then similar note is, you know, I see you have the different trailer parks that are interested in water. So that's a similar process. It's a map plan and report. You look at all these trailer parks, what it's gonna cost to hook them up, and then you can make a decision whether to pursue funding for these connections, or you could do what would be called a no-cost district, where each of the trailer park owners would be required to cover the cost to connect. So they'd be required to tap the line, put the meter pit in, any improvements in their park. If they're willing to do that, and you don't have to pursue financing, then that could happen quicker. But if they're not willing to foot the bill for that, and they want you to help finance that connection.
Aren't some of these trailer parks that we're talking about right here, aren't they talking about just having us bring municipal water to a junction box or to a pit, and then they take care of it from there?
I know some are, but I can't say, maybe Jamie has a better sense of what they're looking for, but a connection and a master meter pit.
I think they're looking for a connection and they wanna go from there.
So there'd still be that cost for the connection. You know, tap the line, put a meter pit in. But if they're willing to cover that connection fee, then it could be no cost to the town, right?
Yeah.
Other than you'd still have to do a map plan and report, formally form the district so you can legally, you know, collect fees or collect water rents and whatnot. So you still need to go through that process of district extension or a new district, but a district extension probably makes the most sense.
Yep. Okay.
The only other thing, again, and I don't wanna sound like a broken record, but we really need to wrap up the Route 12 sewer, how we're gonna deal with those district boundaries. You know, the whole parcel part as opposed to parcel.
We had a number of different conversations. We're gonna amend the boundaries so that we don't have this 200 feet off Route 12.
Correct, so you're gonna do that.
Yes.
And then I need the method that you're gonna charge for the benefit assessment. Is it gonna be based on assessed value?
Well, we have no, we're not gonna do assessed values. We have a table
Okay,
for that, right?
if you can get me that, then I can start the amended district formation report. I don't know if they have to abolish the existing district first, or if they can do it all in one fell swoop, but.
On swell swoop.
As a backup, we have one for water. We
I was just gonna say,
don't have a sewer one yet, but
we have one for water.
that is next on the hit list.
Okay, all right, well, just get that to me when you're ready.
Okay. Okay, probably should put that on the top of our list.
Okay, you got everything, Rob?
Yep, that's all I have.
Booster Club response is number 4. I don't see that letter here. I think, you know, it's a nonprofit, it's a local one. It falls under our category that we give the cans and bottles through the proportional distribution that we have. And the answer that we got from them, was it 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders are all in the Booster Club. So, if we want to, make a motion tonight to give the Booster Club money, and then we work on the formula of how many people there are, or how we're gonna adjust what percentage of the refunds that we get.
I mean, the way we're doing it now is participation, and the email I saw anyway from them is the Booster Club is kindergarten through 12. Well, if that's the case, that's an enormous number. It would just, they would be way beyond 50%, and I don't know if that's really fair for the whole thing. So we need to work out a formula that makes it more equitable.
I think we need to work that out and talk about that, but if we wanna make a motion that we will definitely put them into the pay group, and that we'll figure out the formula that we can use. Or I guess we could wait and do it all at once at the next meeting.
Yeah, let's just see what the ramifications are.
Yeah, there's no sense in doing it in 2 sessions. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Speed sign location, I know Jamie and Jay have talked to me a couple times about where do we wanna go. It's a little different for us because of winter. It's a little different because of the snowbanks and the plows, so we make some areas that we can't do it.
Last winter, we left the one on Wellesley Island, moved off the road a little bit farther, and we had one right in Plessis by the, or in Redwood, right by the, fire hall. There's a little pie-shaped piece of land.
I think the one that's in Plessis now that's by the cemetery, when you come down that hill, I think
That one needs to be moved.
you gotta move that.
Yeah,
There's no shoulder room there for the snow.
No, I mean, they're gonna,
That's too bad, that's a good location coming into that speed zone.
Unless we move it up a little bit into the, there's that driveway that goes into the cemetery, we could possibly put it in there. And that would get it off the road.
Has anybody got, I mean, time, you know, now and then we get requests from people, or they write stuff on the internet about they need a speed sign here, or they need it there. Does anybody have any input into that?
I haven't
you
had
know.
anybody say.
I mean, it makes it, like
We could put something on our
One of
town
those, yeah,
website and ask.
you know, it's more seasonal over there, so it makes less sense to leave that one there for the winter,
Where?
the one on Wellesley Island.
There's not much going on down that road.
Hmm?
There's not much going on.
That's what I'm saying, definitely for the winter, I'm not saying that. But I mean, for everywhere else, I haven't, you know, I mean, it's not connected to this, but I really like the one on 26 coming into the village. That's very effective.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Brent, you ought to come down to Damon Point in the summertime. Come over that knoll in front of my house. Scott has screamed at him, slow down. I mean, some of the kids are on bicycles. They're gonna get killed down through there. We really need and you never see a cop down there, never a trooper, nothing.
Is there room to put it down there?
We had it down there.
You had it on this end though, right over here.
Jane, it's coming from the trailer park down there, and I mean, they're going 60, 65 right over that, and, it's unbelievable.
But that's a summer deal, isn't it?
A lot of summer people,
Seasonal.
but the, people, that live there year-round are having a fit about it. And, Jamie had it where they came before, but down my way, just coming over there, if I'm coming on my driveway and they're going 60, that's it, yeah.
Steve, do you have any use for a second one for a temporary period of time?
Could use it anyways.
Well, we'll look around and,
How about, Walton Street coming into the village?
Yeah.
Walton Street coming into the village.
We had it down there across.
And it was there for a while.
It's been all over the village, but
It was-
I mean, when it's there,
Yeah,
it showed there's a problem. How
How
about Otter Street? We've had some people
Yeah.
talk about Otter Street.
I live there, so there's, Suzanne could probably back me up on that. You'll see some cars zipping down
on
there.
every street, and it still isn't
Yeah,
gonna make too much of a difference.
Sally, yeah.
Sally Sanford asks, but that would be summer for us too.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good spot, as good as any spot.
Everything that everybody in Redwood that talks about wants it on 37, and that's a state road.
Right, that's, yeah.
Are we allowed to put it on state road?
Technically, as of what we know, and what Mike has explained to us, no.
You cannot.
I've always said that, could we go talk to the state about doing it?
Well, you could, nothing saying you can't, that's true. See, what they don't, you can't have like one that's gonna, say you have a 30-mile-an-hour trigger, and you can't put that out in a 55-mile-an-hour area. That's just not gonna happen.
Slow down, is it?
We have a speed zone on the county road going into Redwood by the highway barn where that speed zone starts. Again, we'd have to get permission from the county,
Right. Yeah.
and that's,
So like, say for example, though, on Route 26 coming into the village is, even though it's a state highway, it's a kind of a different situation.
yeah.
30.
Yeah, you didn't get permission for that, did you? You put it there and you haven't had any,
No,
yeah.
Now, with villages and cities, it's a little different situations than just a town.
I think the best place for it, from just our discussion, is Route 37 in Redwood, and I think we ought to reach out to the state.
Okay.
Is that a Matt Bush question, or is that somebody else?
No, Matt's not the guy. I gotta talk to Aaron Doctor's a regional traffic and safety engineer. I could give him a call.
Let's try to do that, okay, Mike?
Okay.
Okay.
So, tomorrow I'm gonna go on the island and bring that one back, 'cause I got a call saying that the batteries are dead on it. So I'm gonna forward,
The one down at the, yeah.
somebody calls and says it's gone, you know where it went.
Yeah,
I'll just take it back to the sewer plant, and once you guys figure out what you wanna do with it.
okay. Okay, amendments to the water ordinance. Been a lot of emails going back and forth.
Well, we have 4 separate ordinances tonight. The first is amending the water use ordinance for Carnegie Bay Water District. That was the one district that you hadn't dealt with at the last meeting. And so this ordinance then establishes the benefit assessment calculation and then also the EDUs. Which only apply to hooked up properties, I think. That was a joke. So the procedure tonight for each of these will be to introduce them, second them. Once they're introduced and seconded, somebody needs to move to set a public hearing for December 15th, probably at 6:15 or something like that. Okay? So I would recommend you take them one at a time. Introduce this one, second, move for public hearing, so.
Okay, we'll introduce this, ordinance number 1 on November 17th, 2021 for the town of Alexandria. It's lots of pages here, so I'm sure I don't have to read the whole thing.
No, it'll be published before the,
Yeah.
summary of it anyway.
The document that we have in front of us is, we're gonna need a motion and a second to introduce this and to set the date and time. So if somebody wants
I'll
to
make the
do,
motion.
Sandy's making a motion to introduce it, and
I'll second that.
second by John, and that's all we're doing is just introducing it, correct? And now we have to set the date and time of the public hearing, and that takes a separate motion,
Yes.
and that motion gets,
I move to set a public hearing on December 15th at 6:15 PM.
right, but it's more than a first and a second, or just a.
No, first and second, and just it's a roll call vote, just a all in favor. Aye.
Okay, so we need a motion to come up with the date and the time, and as you said, the 15th, and we're gonna do it at 6:15. We do them all then?
Make that
Okay,
motion.
I mean, I know we gotta do them one at a time, but motion by Ron,
I'll second it.
second by Sandy, to set the date and the time for December 15th at 6:15.
Okay? At what time?
6:15.
During the
You can set it whatever time you want.
Starting at 6,
Okay,
go to the public hearing, go back to the regular meeting.
okay.
6:15, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none. That was,
Ordinances number 2 through 4 all deal with amending the ordinances that you just adopted. And it's because the, Exhibit B, which was the EDU, calculation, the committee met and decided that really needed to be amended. And so the next 3 ordinances, the first one will be ordinance number 2. It's amending the Otter Street amended ordinance so that the new Exhibit B can be attached. So we'll do the same procedure for each of these now, looking for a motion, just looking for an introduction of the ordinance, second, and then a motion to set a public hearing, a second, and vote.
so I need a motion to introduce ordinance number 2 on November 17th for the town of Alexandria.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2.
Motion by Sandy,
I'll second that.
second by John. Now I need a motion to set a date and a time for the public hearing.
Make a motion, 6:15, December 15th.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second that.
second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none.
So ordinance 3 is the same thing as 2, only it's for the Redwood Water District, and again, it's amending Exhibit B, which is sets the EDU charges. Your EDU calculations, excuse me. You need more paper, didn't you?
So I need a motion to introduce the ordinance number 3 of November 17th for the town of Alexandria for the Redwood Water District.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Sandy, second by John. So that's introduced, now I need a motion to set the date and time of the public hearing for the Redwood Water District. Public hearing.
Lisa, we get familiar.
That's your job.
Ditto.
Motion by Ron,
6/15, December 15th.
okay, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, none.
Finally, ordinance number 4 amends the amended Route 12 Water District ordinance that was adopted. It's a little thicker because the Route 12 Water District's a lot more complicated when it gets into EDUs, so, but it accomplishes the same sort of thing. Yeah. We would kill the tree for this one.
Sorry, guys.
So I need a motion to introduce ordinance November 4th of the Town of Alexandria for the Route 12 Water District. Motion by Sandy, second by John. That's the introduction, and now we need to set the public hearing, date and time. I need a motion for that.
Make a motion,
Ron,
6/15, December 15th.
second.
No?
By John.
Okay.
All those in, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Statement from accountant and legal, accounting fees is number 7.
You gotta tell me these things.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Okay, I'm gonna read a couple different documents here. We've had Mike Lasan, our accountant, working on this. He's been in contact with the Office of the State Comptroller, and and I've been in contact with the Association of Towns. I think that everybody's already seen, and I may have read this email, the enclosed State Comptroller opinion number 8643 notes that litigation expenses incurred on behalf of a town improvement district are attributable to the improvement district. And then there's 3 pages of the opinion number 8643. All government funds, including special district funds, are segregated for the purpose of carrying on specific activities or attaining certain objectives in accordance with special regulations, restrictions, or limitations. Any such district expenditures for specifically associated with a fund's activity, such as water or sewer fund, those funds would be charged those direct expenses. The allocation of indirect expenses is allowable practice under GAAP, generally accepted accounting practices, is what GAAP stands for. However, indirect cost allocations must have a written policy on how the allocation is calculated and must be applied consistently amongst the town's funds. Ordinarily, most indirect costs are recorded in the general fund of the town and are not allocated to other districts. This town does not allocate indirect expenses and records all such expenses in the general fund. Going on to the next part, expenditure classification. The town currently has 2 sewer special districts and 5 water special districts. Each of these 7 special districts should be charged direct and indirect charges in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Legal guidance. Town may sue and be sued at law for the breach of any lawful contract entered into on behalf of a district wholly located in such town. Any sum of money recovered by it in such action shall be paid over to the town treasury and credited to that district. New York State town law appears consistent with the GAAP since it states that any judgment against the town on behalf of a district would be charged to that district and shall be assessed and levied against the residents in that district. A judgment against a specific district would represent a direct expense of that district, therefore charged to that district. This appears consistent with GAAP that is applied by the towns for its finances. New York State Comptroller legal opinion. New York State Comptroller opinion 86-43 confirmed that the cost of a liability for a special district are expenses of maintenance of an improvement district, such as water or sewer, with the meaning of town law, section 202-A, and therefore that such costs apportioned on some equitable basis are properly charged against a special improvement district. Therefore, in the instant situation, it is our opinion that the cost of the settlement of actions proceeding against a town arising out of the operation of the special improvement district, as well as the related legal fees incurred, constitute an expense of maintenance within the meaning of town law number 202-A, and are properly chargeable against the respective districts involved. New York State Comptroller Opinion number 91-10 confirmed that the expense of maintaining, operating, and improving the park are to be levied and assessed upon taxable property in the park district. In interpreting analogous provisions of the town law 202 and 202-A, the courts have indicated that the cost of any judgment arising out of the establishment or operation of the district is properly levied and assessed on the property within the district as a cost of operating and maintaining the district. Overall summary. In summary, although the New York State Comptroller opinions are fact and circumstances based on the specific question raised, both the opinions are analogous to the town of Alexandria's current situation, consistent with accounting guidance, town law, and legal opinions from New York State OSC. It would appear that legal and other costs associated with the litigation for Redwood Sewer District would be properly charged to the Redwood Sewer District for litigation costs related to Redwood Sewer District. Litigation costs pertaining to other funds, such as Redwood Water and other town funds, would be appropriately charged to those funds in accordance with this guidance. So those are our recommendations and summaries from the Comptroller's office and our accountants.
And just for clarification, in opinion 9110, when they talk about the park, they're talking about an actual legal case that involved a park.
Yep.
A park district, and so that's why we talked about the park. But it's the opinion that it is analogous, which is the key deal, to the situation with Redwood Sewer, unfortunately.
Anybody have anything else? I mean, we've talked about this issue and what we're gonna do with it, and where we're at. I think we've had a bunch of different paperwork that we've seen from the regulators and the comptroller's office that all pretty much leans to the fact that the Redwood Sewer District should be bearing the cost of this.
I haven't seen anything to the contrary. You know, sometimes you get 10 things and one says one and 9 says another. I haven't seen anything to the contrary. It seems very clear. What I'd like to do is make a motion to it would be transfer in the actual, our accounting system out of General A in the places where that money has been spent and into the special district, which is Redwood Sewer. So that there's an actual transaction which will formally recognize the cost of that. It won't be the last one, unfortunately, but I'd like to see a transaction made to bring it up to date. Because this has been going on for a couple of years. We probably should have done this at the end of each year as we went along with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't see any reason not to do that, and I'd be happy to make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ron, second by Sandy, to actually do the transaction from General A to the Redwood Sewer District.
Put it where it belongs.
Yep.
Only
That's
because
all.
we have to.
Yeah.
Right.
And the biggest thing, as you're saying,
Comptroller.
Ronnie, it's the proper accounting procedure to do at the end of the year. And we should have done this every year.
And I think it's important, as John just said, to recognize the fact we are not the ones deciding where this money should end up. It's the state of New York has told us where this money needs to be charged to. And we're following what they're saying we need to do.
Yeah.
Put it in the proper cost center.
Yes. Yep.
We've been accused of not doing that.
Yeah.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
No, I wish it didn't have to happen. That's my only comment on this whole thing, but it's out of our hands.
Yeah. It's not over.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. Okay. October financials, number 8. We've got a report from our account of highlights. I'll just read the most significant ones. $612,039 received as sales tax money from Jefferson County in the most recent quarter. This represents an increase of 18% compared to the same period in 2020. Overall, the town's sales tax collections have increased by 28%, or $358,000 to 2020. 87,389 received a hotel occupancy tax in Jefferson County, which is 3% of net taxable income from occupancy rooms. Compared to the same period last year, that's an increase of 45%, or $26,988. I'd also like to say that, because last year was an odd year, it's still 25% above the highest year in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And 2019 was a good year for hotels, in the entire county. And so that number, when you compare that number to a good year, it's still an exceptional number.
Yeah. $70,676 quarterly billing for sewer services in Redwood and Route 12, $134,136 quarterly billing for water districts of Carnegie Bay, Edgewood, Otter Street, Redwood, and Route 12. Expenditures, $93,164 from the general fund, compared with the prior year, whereby the month of October in 2020 had $122,773. So there's an example of it being down by $19,000, and obviously our sales tax is up and everything else is up. Routine expenditures compared to the same period last year decreased in expenses by $76,000, primarily due to following not occurring in October 2021. Road improvements from prior years were $40,986. Purchase of a radio system, this is $12,663. Purchase of plow blades is $5,816. Purchase of road salt is $13,615. $28,899 in sewer charges for the town of Orleans. Decrease of $43,000 compared to October 2020, primarily due to water supply expense from the village not being built in October this year. Last year the charge was $38,000, expected to be billed in November. No change in the financial status update as far as Bonadeo. We had a conference call with them, and they're working on our audit, and we're hoping that they're gonna have results, but they're kind of where do we stand with that?
Talking about my deal?
Yeah.
They received numerous emails from Mr. Peterson, and based on those, they're going to have to do more work, and they will not be able to honor their quote to us for our audit, because they are obligated now to do more work than what a normal audit would have. In spite of the fact that we have all these previous audits, in spite of the fact that we have a Supreme Court decision that was unanimous in its opinion, but because of the fact that they have received input from Mr. Peterson, we are going to pay more. And it's going to take time and more money to get the exact same product.
And they're working on giving us an idea of how much more and how much more time.
And in their defense, they have no idea.
According to them, it's a moving target because it changes every week, because they get emails.
Well, I was going to say, the emails move the target all the time, and I believe their blended rate for the hourly work they're going to do is $250 an hour.
Yeah.
How, Bob, can you explain this to me? If we, as a governing board, hire an independent outside accounting firm to audit our books, we tell them what is needed, the time frame that we need audited, and so on and so forth. How can any person, I don't care who they are, go to that company and request things and ask for different things. And to me, it should be the supervisor is the lead person representing the town, asking them, I mean, the board agreed on this audit, but how can an absolutely outsider, I get it, he's a taxpayer, but aren't there some limits to what he can do? He is costing this town so much money. It's ridiculous. We can't get things in a timely manner because he's constantly sending emails, demanding other stuff. He's telling an accounting firm that they're not doing the proper audit. Where does this stop?
Can I just mention what, because I had the same question, okay? And he's not asking for things, he's making accusations. So he's making accusations against the town, and now, because when the audit is done by Bonadio or whatever company it is, they express an opinion on the audit. So they're putting their reputation and everything, saying, this is what we feel. They have been given these allegations, so now they're bound by accounting procedures and whatever to investigate those allegations. Because if they were not to, and express an opinion, a clean opinion as it's called, and it turned out some of the allegations were correct, then they've got a problem. So by making these accusations, he's caused exactly what you just said. It takes more time, more money, okay? And it's very, very frustrating to say the least. But anyway, Bob.
No, it really is an accounting question, not a legal one.
Right.
I mean, they have their standards that they have to meet before they'll sign an opinion letter. And, to your point, once accusations are made or allegations are made of impropriety, they're bound, before they sign their own letter, to make inquiry in connection to those allegations.
Right.
I haven't heard them say that anything as to whether they have merit or not, but that's what they're going to try to determine, is whether they have merit.
Right.
And if they determine that there's no merit, they'll sign an opinion letter that says that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we find ourselves in a kind of a very weird limbo land, where it'd be one thing if the town got this audit, Mr. Peterson, say for example, I'm just using him, he looks it over and he finds a bunch of mistakes in it. But he's not even waiting for that. He's doing it before it's even done.
I haven't seen the letters or emails that he's written to them,
I mean,
but it sounds to me like they're similar to what were raised in the lawsuit.
Right.
And so now we can have.
Different year involved, 'cause now it's 2019.
But we can have now the fourth set of accountants look at the town's books in connection with these issues. We've had EFPR group that did 4 audits for 4 years in a row.
Right.
We had our, the town's regular accountants, Sherry Ferguson and her group.
Yep.
We had Mike Lasson, and now we'll end up having, Bonadio do essentially the same thing.
Right. So we talked to him for what, 45 minutes or whatever? I had hoped, because we talked about this at a previous meeting, I had hoped we'd just say, look, can't you just finish the audit, do what we asked, what we contracted for, and note the fact that a taxpayer has made these accusations. And then we get what we asked for, and they said they can't do that. They've got, once the accusations have been made, they gotta follow through. And then, so we pay for it to prove what we already know, which is the accusations are groundless. And then eventually, and it could be, say they spend 40 hours, that's 10 grand. The whole audit was gonna be what, 14? And if we did it, and if we signed up for another year, they were gonna take 1,000 off the bill. So it was gonna be 13,000 total. And now it might double.
I mean, they pretty much told us in this call that we had, this was all verbally, but they pretty much told us that they couldn't tell us what the price was gonna be in the end.
Right.
We don't even know when.
It's basically this could go on, and we know I mean, how long have we been involved in this process? We've been involved in this process since a lawsuit is over 2 years, but the whole deal's been 4 years, so. Do we wanna pay these people $250 an hour for the next 2 years?
But, I mean, I'm in favor of having a full-blown audit every single year. I think it's good business practice. We're a $4 million a year operation. If an audit costs $15,000, I think that's a good investment. However, we're running into a situation where it's no longer $15,000, number one. Number two is, we don't even know when we're gonna get this product. So it kinda almost defeats the purpose of getting it, because we don't even know when we're gonna get it.
They did say, we asked them, and they said they would periodically, like, they're not just, I don't see how we've got any choice but to go forward, otherwise we're not gonna get an audit. And we've already spent $13,000. And we need to go forward.
Yep.
But say, after we spend $5,000, let's say, pick a number, they say, well, this is what we found, I think we're gonna be able to wrap this up, or this, you know, we've gotten 2,000 more emails from Redwood, so who knows, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm getting at is, instead of just saying yes and end up with this huge bill, we need to, like, after $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, tell them where they're at. And in other words, don't give them a blank check, give them a partial check to get started on it, and then they'll have a better idea what's going on, and hopefully be able to give us an idea what the cost's gonna be, but I don't see how we've got any choice.
I agree. I think we have to move forward, but we gotta move forward cautiously with some limits, and guidelines to them.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve paying Bonadeo an amount not to exceed $5,000, and ask for a report, when they either finished or they've reached the 5,000.
This is beyond what we've already agreed
Yes.
to, okay?
Yeah.
That's Ronnie's motion, and you need a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yes. Is there a way, obviously you and Brent have been talking to them, once they reach this $5,000 mark, because we were under the impression back in July and August that they were very close to being ready to put their stamp on it, that they can let us know what it is that he's demanding, or he's
We've already got that.
alleging
Yeah.
what, I mean, is he sticking with Redwood Sewer? Is he going after other special districts now?
I haven't got it right in front of me, but I believe we've got copies of the emails that he sent them.
Bonadio's been in contact with Mike Lasan, our accountant, and there was a list, and, Mike was gonna start working on that list. And we said we wanted to have a conference call with Bonadio before we move forward. So, if we can pass a motion tonight, and I can get that list from Mike Lasan and from Bonadio of what they need, and that's the key here, is let's say we get this list from Bonadio, and they have got their, 100 emails that they want information according to the accusations in those emails, then we're gonna have a list that's tied to that. And then the question is does that change? We spent $5,000 working on that list, and then where are we at? So it's just, there may not be an end to this,
The problem is, when they get done, if he doesn't like what they tell him,
Right,
he's gonna move into something else.
we've lived it,
He always says, I've got more.
right.
Can I ask a question? Does Bonadeo understand that they don't have to answer any questions that he asks them?
absolutely.
They understand that?
Totally.
They work for us?
Right.
Okay, so they're just looking at stuff, there's always chirping in the background?
They're totally understand that,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, they have an obligation to give credence to these charges.
Or give credence, or at least examine
Right,
the issues raised by the accusations.
right. And then once they check what they need to check at least at a minimum, and they don't find anything there, then they can express an opinion and
Right,
wrap it up.
okay. I just wanted to make it clear that they understood that.
There's not gonna be any conversations between, no,
Thank you.
yeah. Apparently he's a little upset because his emails aren't going through. So I don't know.
They specifically told us the emails are going through, but they won't answer them. And that, because they're working for us.
We're the client.
They're not obligated to
Right.
answer them.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, there was a statement made that they're blocked. Well, they're not blocked. We were told that they're not blocked. They're just not, they're working for us. They're doing what we asked them to do.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That was the.
Well, what about this motion?
Yeah, we have to vote.
So, we got a motion and we got a second, and we just had discussion. Is there any further discussion?
No, other than the fact you can hold your nose when you vote.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
What did this discussion just cost us?
Really?
Yeah.
What's the what?
This discussion, what this just cost us?
Yeah.
Nothing against you. You gotta get paid, and here we are.
Okay, so, all those in favor of the $5,000 in the discussion with,
We need something from them.
Yeah.
Right.
All those in favor signify by saying yes, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? No, okay, all five.
I'm an aye. I don't like it, but I'm an aye.
That's good.
Part of me just wants to abandon it and saying that there's nothing that says we gotta have this, even though I think it's the right thing to do.
And I think it's good business practice.
I absolutely 100% agree. I've said that all along. But this is ridiculous.
Yep. Okay, transfers, you've got a sheet in front of you that's got transfers on it. General A, garage CE, $8,500, debit, contingency CE, $8,500 credit. Cover extras due to a pest inspection at the town barn. They had to put up railings, there was a bunch of things that they had to do over there. I was at the pest inspection. And I actually saw today that I think they have most of that work done. General A, FT, personal services, 2,000, part-time personal services, credit 2,000, to cover expenses within the old fund. Brush pit, personal services, $700, contingency, CE, $700, credit, cover personal services at the brush pit. Playground CE, $100 for general B, unemployment insurance, $150 debit. Board of Health, personal services, $250 credit. Cover expenses within the fund. Route 12 sewer, sanitary sewer, town of Orleans, $2,375 debit. Sewer rents income, $2,375 credit to cover increased costs for Route 12 sewer. I need a motion.
I was thinking that's what I was.
Are we gonna have any discussion on this?
Yeah, we'll make the motion, then we can discuss it.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
So, we got a motion and a second?
Right, so the Route 12 sewer, 2375. The other ones, I remember talking about these other ones. What was the deal with the 2375?
And the explanation for the Route 12 sewer.
I don't have one,
I had
that's
one
Route
question.
12 sewer, okay. I think what that is I think that's that water meter that Route 12 water was paying.
This is sanitary sewer, this isn't water.
Yeah,
Is this a debit or is this a revenue or is this an
No, it's a
expense?
cost.
it's a credit to the sewer rents income.
That's what I'm puzzled, cause it looks like a decrease in income and an increase in the expense, if that was actually.
What Brett's talking about is that you weren't billing the Orleans sewer plant behind Price Shop.
We were not.
You just weren't billing it, so you
Right.
did a bill to catch up for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, however long
Yes.
it was. You billed the town of Orleans
Yes.
that amount, so it should have been an income into the Route 12 water
Only, right?
only, right?
Right. Yeah, so that's why I don't think that's what this is. So it's debiting the town of Orleans, because that's what really owed it. Crediting sewer rents income. To cover the increased cost for Route 12.
We don't get
That's-
sewer
that
rents
increase
from
in
Route
cost
12
was
right
that.
now, that goes to
Yeah.
water,
Well, that we
right?
didn't realize.
There's some businesses that this is the one that's close to 81.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the new one.
Right,
Are we okay with that, or you wanna, we'll look into that
Well,
further?
I think it's worth looking into. I have a question here, and I've asked this on previous bills and stuff. We have this, work done over the garage. I'm not saying it's, I'm not questioning the work. I'm just saying it's making reference to a pest inspection. I would like, have you ever seen a copy of this inspection?
Yeah, yeah, plus I was there.
Okay, I understand that, but there must be something, an actual report.
Yeah, there's definitely a
Could the town board
Yep.
see that report?
Has the town board seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Just what exactly does it entail? I mean, does it, I believe, they inspected other locations other than the highway department, correct?
Yes, they did.
I mean, it would be interesting to
They
see,
inspected you, Jamie, and Jay, or just you?
Not Jay,
Just you?
Tuesday, I think they're coming to do Jay.
how, what we're doing right and wrong and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think it's a legitimate question. The other one is, this is just a observation comment, the brush pit. All summer long, the brush pit generates a certain amount of stuff, but it's in the fall of the year, it seems to me it gets even more. And I know myself, I've gone out there with several loads of leaves and stuff like that. And it's like always, it gets close to the road, but you go over there over a course of a bunch of days, even a couple of weeks, and it doesn't look like it's being pushed back at all. I mean, this needs even more attention, especially in the fall.
I mean, if Nicole was here, I actually was gonna call her about this 2375, but I go over the payroll every 2 weeks with her. And I see on the payroll where Mike has the highway guys going over there and running the dozer, or if it gets real bad, they take the loader over there.
Okay, but I can tell you, I've gone over there for, like, especially this time of the year, raking a whole bunch of leaves, and it isn't the same day, it isn't even days in a row. And the brush is in the same spot over a week.
Mhm.
So that,
So
they're not
you're
doing
saying-
it once they should minimum once a week, probably more than once a week.
You're saying, once a week, because what I remember seeing with Nicole is the guys pushing the brush pit or doing work over there on a Monday, and then doing work over there on a Thursday.
Okay, and not that I'm questioning people with their billing and all that kind of stuff, but I don't see evidence of that.
Okay.
My observation going over there, next year, when it gets so close to the road, just find a place you can get far enough off the road so you're not out in the road, And this is one of those people things as well, is we get, to try and get people to, when they offload their stuff, get far enough off the road so there is space before you get out to the road.
Got a question for you,
We have
Nicole,
had a
on
lot
the
of rain
transfers.
too, and that's-
The last one for
that's- some people may not
2375,
have
Town of
told us
Orleans
about
sewer
that,
rent income.
causing it to look
Is
like
that
it's done.
the, bill that we came up with for them?
That's a people problem, and not,
They raised their rates so much, per you.
The Town of Orleans raised their rates?
Yeah. For the last quarter of the year, and, we had to make that up and increase our revenue.
Yeah. And who bills the people in that district that are in Town of Alexandria? I'm just trying to make sure that if they raise their rates, that we covered the raising of their rates.
Right.
Who bills
They
for
raised
that?
their rates, what do you think, President?
should we get some kind of notification before they raise the rates? How do they justify that? How do they come up with that?
Because Rob, when we go to that meeting, they haven't raised the rates. We went to 610 or something,
Yeah,
and it, I believe I talked to Kevin, I think it stayed at 610 this year.
right,
Right?
the sewer district
So-
stayed at 610.
So the EDUs went up.
Yeah.
Yes, with Swan, in the town of Alexandria.
Well, that was my key question, is that if their rates, if that went up, their EDUs are up, that means hopefully we're billing more EDUs also.
Right, right.
Okay. We need to look into that and make sure that's happening.
Who bills, we bill for Route 12 sewer, and then we pay Orleans, right?
We bill for Route 12 sewer and we pay Orleans.
Right. You bill the individual businesses and stuff.
Right.
Collect the money, Orleans send you a bill for the total money and you pass it through.
Right, so what I'm seeing here is the bill to Orleans is going up $23.75, and the income is also going up $23.75. My question is, did we bill an extra at $23.75? Did that happen?
Did you hear that?
Good question.
Pretty sure it did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm.
Well, we need to double check on
quite
that
sure.
tomorrow, cause you would've had to change the billing and the
We're
rate
famous
for
for not doing that.
EDU.
Well, yeah, we have history.
But we have,
I'm quite sure we did.
we pay the village
I believe
for
so.
more water than we charge our own customers.
Mike and Rob, isn't Swan
But that's
Bay
our
in that
problem.
district?
Swan Bay is the only one that went up
Yeah,
for
Swan-
sewer,
Swan
for
Bay went
sewer,
up.
and
Some of the other ones went down, but the net effect was still an increase, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Well, if you could just,
I'm
double check
looking,
on that
I'm
tomorrow
looking, right now. I'm
and send
looking.
us all something that confirms what we're thinking, okay?
Yep.
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
Nope.
No. Okay, thank you, thanks, Nicole. Bye. I got a text from Chris McCormick, they're at the brush pit 2 to 3 times a week during the summer. I know my conversation with Mike Tibbles a couple weeks ago, he told me what I just said earlier, they were there on Mondays and Thursdays. They don't work Fridays, so they gotta push it back on Thursday, so it gets filled up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they go back on Monday.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience, I did not see.
You're saying fall, right? We're talking, he's talking summer, you're talking fall.
I'm just talking about just recently,
Right, no, I'm not questioning that, I'm just,
Yeah.
and it just, over the
Yep.
span of a week, that,
Which I would
that
think
stuff didn't
that
move.
place would probably be busier in the summer, unless we have a storm, then it obviously gets real busy. Okay, I need to pass that down, everybody sign that now.
okay, so we need to vote on that motion to do the
Yeah,
budget
so we need
transfers.
we have a,
What?
do we have a motion and a second?
Yep.
On the transfers, and we've got the discussion done, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none.
We've got, oh yeah, I got the purple sheet.
And yes, the increase did go in for Swan Bay for the sewer.
I'm sorry,
The increase did happen for Swan Bay for the sewer.
for the sewer, okay. Heller Farm Coon Insurance Update number 10, I met with them, we just double checked we double checked all our properties and all our values and also all of our equipment. And Mike Tibbles, I gave him an equipment list a few days ago. He's gonna go through that equipment list and make sure that everything we have is on that list, and we also look at the values, that everything is tied to everything. That's just telling you about, I met with, Donna from Haler Fire Coon, earlier this week. Water report, Jamie?
Alright, so, it's alright, I'll do the, water, sewer, and the DCW report right now. Jay's been out for 2 weeks, on vacation, so, in the water department, I've been doing my daily and weekly testing, done quite a few seasonal shut-offs. I had to, install a new high wash at the Route 12 pump station, and one at the, Redwood water tower. I had to rewrite the, lockout, tagout procedure. The guy from Tesh said it was old, he wanted a new one. been doing bi-weekly consumption reads and reports, and doing our weekly water and sewer meetings. In the sewer department, doing the daily, weekly testing, I've been tilling the beds, we've changed out 3 sewer pumps. And then in DPW, I installed a check valve in the Zamboni room at the arena. Changed the batteries in the speed sign and process. And then changed the batteries at the town office for the fire alarm system. So tomorrow, I'm taking the new water truck to Watertown to get the power equipment put on it. I want everybody to be knowing that going out there, so that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Sewer report?
Everything.
That's it, yep. Three sewer pumps
Yep.
in the last month?
2 in the last 2 weeks, yeah.
And were they fried or rebuildable?
I just pulled them, Jay hasn't took them apart yet, I just put new ones in.
Okay. Arena report.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, from November 1st to November 17th, we rented Figure Skating Club, TI Youth Hockey, Lewis County Hockey, Watertown Minor Hockey, Watertown Wolves, Alexandria Central School, Power Play Sports, Canton Steel, and 3 adult leagues. I also, you didn't include in this list, I believe, Hammond Central School has contacted us to, for using ice time as well.
Yes, they have.
Yep, groups using ice for free, kind of reiterating what said before, the Tiny Tots of Public Skating. Jerry had Ely Electric come to the rink and install 2 outdoor lights. One of them's on the church side where the Zamboni comes out, and the other one is going to be over top of the locker room door on the back side, the arena Zamboni end of the building. And he also had Ely Electric replace a light in the shower room that was not working properly.
Okay. I'm just getting a bunch of text messages that are confirming that what they do at the transfer or at the brush pit, and it kind of mirrors what we're saying. They did do it 2 or 3 times a week back in the summer, but now it's a lot less.
I get just commenting when I see it.
DPW report? Done? Alexandria Grievance Board appointments.
Going, for next year, would be nice with the arena report, if they had the same time period from the prior year. We have a lot of our things that we have for us have year and prior year,
Okay.
just to get a feel for how it is. I don't think, put it this way, now that we get this sort of report, it'll be really easy.
Well, no, I like that, week to week,
Right.
compare,
Yeah, cause is that good? Or it looks like it's good, but it'd be nice to have black and white comparison.
No, I like that, yep.
Grievance Board appointments, I got a letter from Roxanne Burns, who is the head of the taxation for the county, and she said she spoke with Shooky and advised him that you do not have to act on a reappointment or appointment. I would advise that you do as others do and take action prior to April 1st, because that's when you need to attend the training in April. So that's something that we don't have to do tonight. I had a discussion with Jesse about the lapse, and I think there's one of the positions that's already been out of, has been expired since September.
Term expired.
So that's what we're gonna do with that. Youth program, anybody have anything?
That's me. We haven't started practices for basketball. We're having trouble with getting coaches. The only one in the village that stepped up is Pastor McGrath. Let us use his big building for the Tiny Tots for basketball. Sue Hunter has taken 3 different groups She is excellent. She lives in Plessis. My son Matthew has taken the 3rd and 4th girls basketball, and, we don't have the rest, and Lafargeville is already practicing with their youth in their school. Our school is a little yank with doing things with the youth, and I'm hoping that we can do something different where we haven't gotta be beholden to the school. I always thought the taxpayers own the school the same as the town. It don't work that way sometimes, and I'm not happy with it. But, there's a girl that is gonna be interviewed tomorrow night at 4:45, Tasha Hunter, on being the 2nd coordinator for the youth. I'm hoping that she'll be somebody that can help Maria. It takes 2 people, Brent, to run that, to do that. If you guys all wanna go out in that building, that is a mess. And Maria needs help. You know, we pay a lot of money with taxes for equipment and stuff, and it shouldn't be thrown in a building. I'm against that. I always felt Brent knew my husband's money to him was, you know, you use it
Yep.
the right way, so.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
about it.
Thank you. Highway Superintendent report. The streets in Redwoods are finished, wood the shoulders, the men are cutting lower limbs along the plow beats, and interfere with the traffic. You notice the reflectors alongside the roads that will aid all traffic during the winter months. The trucks are being rigged for the winter months and should be done this week. We have the older international trailer, 2 mowers, and a 2008 water truck that I would like the board to consider for surplus and auction international. I will be leaving this week for Thanksgiving. You can reach me at any time, and Bobby will be in charge. That's all I have for the highway report. Report from Water and Sewer. Do you guys have anything more to talk about, or is it?
We pretty much have gotten to the end of the water. We're kind of moving into the sewer.
Okay.
Do we need to do anything to take action or talk about the stuff he wants to put on surplus?
One of the things I thought we ought to do is we ought to go take a look at it and see what we think. If we're gonna do that, then we make a motion and we put it on surplus, and that's why I didn't say that we should make that motion. He's got 4 or 5 things here. The older international trailer, 2 mowers, and a 2008 old water truck, the board to consider. So, my thoughts are we consider that, and I'll go over there and actually ask them to show me each one of those. If anybody else has time, it would be nice to go over there and get another opinion.
Okay.
Okay? Unless anybody's got some other thoughts. As far as the trailer, you know, it's a trailer that is usable for moving equipment. Maybe, you know, that's why I like to.
Well, you got the new one, right?
You got the new one, yes.
So why do we license two? Got the license two then, don't we?
Yes.
Why don't we just get rid of the one we don't need?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that trailer's licensed now, is it? The old one?
No idea.
Is it the one that carried the sandbags on 2 years ago?
No,
No.
that's a 20-ton trailer. It's the one they use to move the roller and stuff around with.
Yep.
Is it a trailer that would be big enough if we, in the budget, we're getting an excavator? Is it a trailer that's big enough to move that?
The brand new trailer that we have that's sitting over there is the trailer that would move an excavator. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Streetscape project bid. I think everybody knows, I've sent them emails, we put it out for rebid. The bids are due on December 7th at 10 a.m. We pulled out of there the $27,000 estimated project for the Bethune Street dock, and we pulled out of there 5 benches. The reason we are doing a rebid, as everybody knows, we talked about, at a meeting or two ago, that the bids came in, the low bidder withdrew his bid, so that made the lowest bid too high to do the project, and the town would've had to come up with $125,000, and the village would've had to come up with $125,000, and there's no way that we were interested in doing that. So we pulled some things out, and we answered some questions in relation to the projects and how they're gonna be done, or how we want them done, and we're hoping that it'll come in as something we can afford, right? That's an explanation of that. Randall letter. Tony. I think I sent this to everybody a while ago. Received your letter that was emailed on 10/22, the town of Alexandria, and expenses of $2,503 against our request for the return of $3,300 that was paid to obtain the property. We were quoted by LaFave of $1,500, and we concurred that the amount of filing fee is $85. When it was stated the property would need to be published and bid, it was stated that a minimum bid of $3,000 was necessary. There was a public hearing in February, and it was published in the TI Sun. The dollar amount was $3,362. We tried to pay the dollar amount on 3 occasions, and were told the paperwork was not completed yet. By October, we paid the amount and received the receipt. In March, getting ready to close the papers, it was discovered by our lawyer, Joe Russell, that the property had already been deeded in '73. This was days after we paid the $3,362. We have questions regarding the legal fees of $918.75 due to the failure to produce a deed to the property as stated in the initial $3,000 bid amount. It states that on 8/11/2020, the town lawyer worked on a deed to the Randalls. We never received a deed from the town. If we are the client that is stated in the billing process, we have never received a letter from your lawyer. The conferring that took place on 10/29/2020 was a phone call that the proper paperwork was forgotten and not delivered to the town, but would be there the next day. That date on 10/30/2020 was the date of payment, and Jesse called the lawyer in our presence to confirm that only the paperwork to be transferred to us was from LaFave, White, and McGivern, no deed. The quitclaim deed was prepared by our lawyer and included in our expenses with Barkley and Damon. We are requesting a resolution of this aforementioned with 50% of the legal fees for $59.37, $1,500 survey fees, $85 file fees, for a total of Alexandria expenses of $2,044.37. Therefore, we are requesting $1,317.87 of overpayment of the town of Alexandria. So, what they're asking is for a 50% reduction in the legal fees because, from what I'm reading here, because they didn't get a deed and we didn't produce a deed, but I don't believe we could produce a deed if the deed was already in their name.
Well, we didn't know it was already in their name. What Rob Bustler at LaFave said, you don't need to give them a deed, I'll just do a boundary line, lot line adjustment, and that's it. And I even wrote him an email, I said, you sure we don't need to have at least a quick claim deed? He said, no, lot line adjustment's fine. And he said he already took care of it. So the mix-up with the clerk was trying to get the boundary line adjustment from, if I remember correctly, from LaFave, that paperwork. Let's recall that they begged to buy a piece of property from us that they already owned. And their lawyer had the abstract that showed that they already owned it. We didn't. Remember, they complained they were paying taxes on property that they didn't own? They were paying taxes on property they did own. We had no abstract for the property. So they asked us to convey that to them. We did. We did it by lot line adjustment. That, you know, Rob's a pretty good surveyor. I mean, that's, you know, and that's what we did. I don't know why we're gonna pay their legal fees when their lawyer had the abstract that said they already owned it.
I don't think they're asking us to pay their legal fees, they're asking us if we will reduce half of your legal fees.
Right.
You know what I mean? 'Cause your legal fee in this was $900 and some odd dollars, and they're saying you didn't do everything you were supposed to do, you didn't give them the deed, so why should they pay for something they didn't get? So we should reduce it by 400.
Well, they say they should have gotten a deed. They didn't say that till, remember I said that I asked LaFave, said you don't need it. We got into it, Joe called me and said, shouldn't we be getting equipment deeds? I'll give you one if you want one, but, you know, Rob, LaFave says you don't need one. He didn't need one, because they already owned it.
Right.
We spent a lot of time chasing our tail because they begged us to do things for them. I don't know, pay them what you want, I don't care.
Our legal fees are what they are, based on the request made in good faith on both sides. And the idea was the town not to have any expense involved. And the only way to do that is to let it sit as it is.
Just to do what?
Leave it as it is.
You can't change it.
Right.
Cause if, let's say you do, all right? Who's responsible for that? Cause you, don't take this wrong way, but you sent us a bill, and we paid for that bill.
Yeah,
So
I don't make it a practice to pad my bill.
So if, well, no, so if we reimburse them for half that, who's gonna be responsible for the other half?
Town taxpayers, the town.
That's wrong in all kinds of ways.
It's simple, it needs to stay the way it is.
So can we agree, I mean, they're requesting 1,300.
I went to the $918
I know,
worth of work.
and that's what I mean.
Because they told us that it was ours and they wanted to buy it from us.
And they were perfectly happy with the $3,200 and whatever the heck dollars it is.
$33.62.
Yeah, they were almost giddy happy. And then they, to much of their chagrin, discovered they already own it. So where do we come into this? That, we didn't initiate this, we didn't agree to this, they did.
The very first paragraph says, "We are in receipt of your letter that was emailed on October 22nd, indicating that the town of Alexandria has had expenses of $2,503.75 against our request for the return of the $33.62 that was paid to obtain the title to property on Route 12. I think that's where we're at, and the difference is what we'll give them back.
Right.
You know, and I think Mike had a good point in the sense of, if we go with the compromise, the 50% compromise, where's that money coming from?
Yeah.
But there's no basis for it, because the legal fees were incurred
Right.
because of their request.
Yeah.
There's no basis to reduce it.
Okay, so I need a motion of,
I mean, it's unfortunate, I wish, this is again one of those things I wish it never happened, but it did,
Right.
you know?
I'll make the motion that we refund them the difference between what it cost us, our expenses, and what they paid.
motion by
Might as well
Sandy.
put an actual number in there, cause it's, $33.62, and it's $25,025.
Yeah. So what is it?
$858.25.
$858.25?
$858.25.
Yeah.
So that's the number,
That's the number.
not the over 1,000, I think.
No.
Well, yeah, it's on the $459.37.
So I got a motion, do I have a second?
Did I make the motion?
Yes, you made the motion.
Somebody else second it?
You wanna second it too?
No.
We're gonna refund what we think they should get, not what they want, right?
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Second by John, any further discussion?
So all
We already lost.
our costs are satisfied by whatever portion that we don't refund to them.
Yep,
Correct.
all of our costs are satisfied by $2,503.75.
Okay, that's my big thing, okay.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. Fred Gilberti water heater issue. 21. On November 4th, 2021, Fred Gilberti came to the town office and spoke with Brent about the decision that the board had made the prior evening concerning his water being bill being so high due to a leak in his water heater. He understood that he owed the amount on the bill. He and Brent discussed perhaps splitting the amount due into 3 monthly payments paying on November 1, December 1, and January 1. He said that that would help him since he's on a fixed budget, and he also, spoke about not paying late fees. He's been in a couple times, it's a financial hardship for him because of the leak. Obviously, the leak is his fault, it's his hot water heater, and he'd like to pay 3 equal payments and pay his bill in full in the end and not have a late fee.
Can we do this without setting a precedence?
I understand the concept, but I think our ordinance tells us what we're supposed to do. I could see if we did something, like the county at some point decided to let the county taxes be paid in 3 installments. And it's a taxpayer option to do that. But there's an installment fee to do that. It's not a free thing. And I'm just concerned that our ordinance says X, and if we do Y.
We have there.
If we're gonna do anything,
I would really love to, and I think we should, but we have no mechanism at all to do this.
To do it that
And
way.
I think we should, but I mean, we gotta somehow get past that.
the ordinance doesn't allow us to do it.
Does it? No.
Any other discussion?
Well, okay, let me ask,
I disagree.
well,
I think you have to take case by case in certain things like this. I think the ordinances are a guideline, and sometimes there's exceptions to everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I think this should be an exception. I think he should be allowed to pay in 3 times, and I don't think he should be charged a late charge.
I was just saying that, I think we should do something. My point is that we don't have anything in place. But I need to ask one question though. Is he currently late?
No. Well, was he late before, or is he in this particular one we're talking about?
Okay, he obviously hasn't paid this.
Yes, he's currently late.
So, okay, so I could see he's currently late, but if we're gonna do this,
One of the problems with him
he's more late.
One of the problems with him being currently late is the fact that he came in and talked to us about this problem 2 days before the deadline was that he would become late.
Okay, that's why I was asking, is he currently late?
I, as the supervisor and as one board member, did not have the authority to tell him yes or no, and told him that it had to come to the board meeting, which was 7 days or 10 days later. So part of the reason that he's late is because I couldn't give him an answer.
Okay, then one other question is, he's gonna if we do this, he's talking about in 3 months, not 3 billing periods.
Now, he's been back in, and he totally understands, November 1, he would have to pay right now, December 1 and January 1, and he also understands that when he pays in January 1, he's gonna get a bill 10 days later for the next quarter. That's gonna be due in 30 days.
Okay, one last point, and it's just kind of a small one, but this bill was due in this fiscal year. If we split it up into 3, 2 of them, or one of them anyways, will be in the next fiscal year. I would like to make sure that it ends up in the proper year.
That's an accounting deal, I understand what you're saying.
And it will, because the bills that are billed in January are part of this accounting, this fiscal year, and they get.
This is an oddball. It's not a quarterly bill. We're gonna receive a payment from a customer in a time period we don't normally see a payment.
If you create an accounts receivable, the money will be recognized when you create that accounts receivable this year. I'd love to do something for the gentleman, but I don't look at the ordinance as a guideline. I look at the ordinance as a set of rules. That's just the way I look at it.
I think that's more right than wrong. Yep.
I'd love to hear a way we could do it legally, but.
Any more discussion?
Can I ask a question? So, let's say he owes $100, and that's his bill, but he comes in and he tenders $30. Do we take it or not? we say, well, it's better to get 30 than nothing, so we just take that and apply it to the account? What do we do? What do we do if somebody pays less than the full amount?
They're late.
Fine, they're late. Do we take their money, is my question?
Yes.
Okay, take his money. What happens if it's late? He gets a late charge.
Yeah.
Okay, he comes in the next month, doesn't pay at all, same thing happens.
Right.
At the end of the day, he pays the last one and there's a late charge hanging out there. I don't know what the late charges are, but.
Right. So he's created his own payment plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Without you having to prove anything,
Right.
because you always take the money, right? So
Right.
take the money.
The only difference would be the late.
But he's asking to take off the late charges, right?
I know
Yeah.
he is, yeah, I know he is. I
I think as of it,
What would the late charge amount to?
10%.
I don't know how much
it was
to
$26.
Is it 1% a month or something like that?
It's 10.
10%?
10%.
Yeah, 10%.
And then interest on top? Is there a late fee and then an interest charge? So some places,
It kinda compounds itself. That is 10%.
okay.
Something I was gonna say, and what you were saying, Bob, pay $30 on the bill, right? And the bill is $200.
That's wrong.
And they're gonna pay $30 on the bill.
Pay a third of the bill, pay the late fee, right?
yeah,
And then the next month, pay another third, pay the late fee.
Well, I think
So,
there's only
so
one
we're
late.
financing it for the late fee.
right. Yeah. You would take the money, I guess that's what I'm
Right,
saying,
yeah.
so.
I think there's only one late fee. I mean, my understanding, when you bill and you don't get it, you tack a late fee on, right? It's not 10% a month every month.
I believe it's every month.
10% a
I think,
month?
Pretty good business,
A month or quarter.
Yeah,
I think it's quarter.
yeah.
Cause that's the billing period. But if he does it in 3 months, he's still within that quarter.
You're telling me that ordinance calls for 10% per month for 3
No,
months?
per quarter.
Per quarter, yeah.
That's still 40%.
It is, yeah, well, and we've said that in past
We
meetings.
talked about it, I brought it up
Yep, yes.
years ago.
Ridiculous.
Yep, we
I said
brought it
it's
up.
great, it's,
But it is what it is until it's changed,
Right.
you know?
We probably
No,
met
it's not
10% per
It
year.
is crazy.
You know, you'd have to just calculate what it was a month.
well,
I know all the
and
ordinances.
the other thing that I've brought up about this deal is
I
that
don't know.
when you do when we have done the financials, profit and loss for the water and sewer districts at the end of the year, if you took the late fee monies out of the income side,
I've asked for that in the past. It should not be.
oh, it's kept separately now.
Right.
Your wish was
Cause it's
granted
not
a year ago.
income.
Yes.
It's kinda like.
It's kept
found money.
separately, which is interesting, because now what that shows us is that we have water districts that are in the black, that you have the late fees included in. You pull the late fees out, they're in the red.
That's another topic altogether.
Don't get me
If
wrong,
everybody paid on time, the district would have a problem.
Yeah,
Yes.
and don't get me wrong, that's part of what Sandy and Mike have been working
Yep.
on, and it's part of what they've already changed.
Yep.
Is that isn't true anymore, but that was true a year ago. Because Mike asked us to post the late fees separately, and everybody agreed that we need to have this late fees broken out, so we know what the numbers are. Because
Yeah, cause you can't count
showed
on
up.
it. If people suddenly decided everybody pay at the same time, there'd be a problem. It's crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, there would, and the first thing that showed up was that we were living off of late fees to make it be in the black.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
that was
That's-
one of the
that's-
many things that I'm sure Sandy and Mike took into account, and the committee, when they readjusted the rates. Because you're looking at the rates, you're not looking at the late fees, you didn't care about the late fees, because you can't depend on the late fees, because of what Mike just said. If everybody paid on time, there'd be no late fees. So, okay, so we're done with the discussion, I need a motion.
If you listen to Bob, you don't need a motion, cause he can come in and
No.
just pay his money whenever he wants.
All I do is ask the question.
That's a good point.
Well, that's a good point.
Thank you.
We all take their money, right? We all
Yeah.
take their money.
But
Bring in what you can.
not to kinda wrap this up, but what Bob is saying, I think makes the most sense.
Right, which requires nothing.
I think it requires nothing.
Tell him this, he can pay it.
He just wants to pay a little bit of interest on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it
Like any
requires,
other bill you don't
it
pay.
requires nothing, and
come in and pay what he can, as he can.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
That's why you're here.
Fire protection agreement with Town of Orleans.
I used to be in a position like that.
This whole thing.
Fire protection agreement with the Town of Orleans.
I read it, I don't have any objection to you signing it, if that's what you want.
And this is the one that we got sent back
Yeah, and I read it.
by their fire attorney.
Right, and I read it, and that's fine, I have no objection, but
Yeah, I saw it.
you need to find the original, wherever it is, and sign it,
Okay.
if they approve it.
Okay.
This is for Wellesley Island?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I need a motion to allow me to sign the fire agreement.
And that's based on what we've already budgeted.
That Bob has looked at it and is approved.
Yeah, I don't know about the money,
I wanna
whether
see
that's
that
what you
again.
had in your
Well,
budget.
yeah, well, the language is one thing, the amount's another, so in other words, to sign the agreement, which Bob has looked at the language and he's okay with, and the amount is what we budgeted for?
Yes, the amount is the same.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll make
Motion
that
by
motion.
Ron, and second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Only other thing I had on here was fuel oil bids, and I talked to Jesse about that. We're sending those out, right after the meeting this week. And we're gonna ask those, in those bids, they have to be in by our next board meeting at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock,
Okay.
yes.
So you need a motion to do that?
No, no, we have made a motion
Yeah.
a couple of meetings ago.
Okay, so I need a motion to go to executive session for contract negotiations.
Make that motion.
Matters pertaining to the law.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by who?
Ron, yeah.
Ron, second by John, all those, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
What time do you close tonight?
You have PDF those to me, so we can get them done, whenever you
Let me tell them to stay open.
Well, no, I don't know how long we're gonna be.
What's that?
So did we buy excavator?
We're not gonna do it.
I don't wanna make you stay open.
I'd look at your.
Yeah, what was it? We're not buying what We're not buying
More
what
closely on
Sandy said, you is right, but
payment
we'll give her one.
due, this.
We're not buying the excavator.
What was it?
I don't know.
What, we're buying something, we're buying something.
We're buying a skid steer.
I think the word.
I know it's something.
You got me thinking the last 20 minutes, did I miss something here in that meeting?
You know what I'm saying?
I knew it was a piece of equipment, I don't know.
Guideline, I don't
Are you guys
It should have magnetic, just in case.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
We go through this and I got water. Oh my God. It's You gotta feel the water.
That's okay, we'll go to that.
I don't think I've ever.
Figured you would.
12 years old.
You wanna go out?
Yeah, how long is that?
No,
Like to go get-
sewer, yeah.
How long do you think this will be?
Sewer plant.
10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's not gonna be long.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be long.
Yeah, we're gonna be getting.
No,
But yeah.
they've been dead the last hour, they.
Oh, wait.
I'm second to Shooky. And that question,
Meet you down there,
for me, it's just more
All right,
information.
that's where we're
You guys
going.
have switched to the EDU system on your water?
I'll be home, you call me.
Call me, we gotta do something.
What's that?
We gotta do something together.
Yes.
At the dockside? Okay.
I need your help.
You're on the dockside, right?
I just gotta ask you, do you have such problems with
We're talking.
I'm gonna have to do it over the phone.
Yes, I think
Never.
that's.
You don't have.
This is just,
In another.
I'd kill somebody. I would kill somebody.
Okay, you got
But
it.
the village has switched to an EDU system for your
Yeah,
water.
we're not going nowhere.
Thomas set that up.
Could you?
Thomas and
For Dick or,
with Dick, Thomas and, what's her name?
There's trouble there, I'll tell you more.
Get her
I know there is. I talked to Matt
I
about
know what you're talking about. Maybe.
Yeah.
Can you see a copy of
And
It's just more information. You guys have a great idea. I want to take advantage
gonna
of
ruin
it.
their
Stuff like that.
soccer field, that's a bunch.
We've been working on you for 2.5 years.
how much they're spending.
It's surprising how long these things take.
You see what's going on there?
The phone calls,
They
the
called
letters.
Scott up there to look
Oh,
I did a poll in my neighborhood, I'm the only one being charged, so I'm gonna take you to court.
Go for it.
To be my guest.
But that girlfriend,
Come you guys
well, shit, he had a birthday,
The
one in from New Jersey.
Scott?
Yeah.
Do you link water and sewer together?
Yes.
Okay.
No, the other place, Riley's, that's about
Cause we're struggling
He's
with
in
that.
RN for a
I got a package in the
dialysis
truck, which is
center
at home, I got a white card. I'll get you a copy.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I like her immensely, she's
The problem we
jolly.
have here
Allowed to stay.
is,
Yeah, she comes,
Redwood
and
Sewer
my
was the first special
son Matt
district.
likes her
Then
a
water
lot,
came afterwards.
Emily,
So,
and my brother has
it's
a
usually
matter.
water first, then
But
sewer, and then
if she
they
put
can
up
be
with
linked.
Scott,
But since it's the other way first, we don't have a linkage between the two.
Text me your,
My other two are so, I'm
email.
so proud of
I
them,
think I got
he
an
knows
email
with
from Thomas
Matt.
Nelson.
Look what Matt's building over here.
I just wanna reinvent the wheel. You guys have already
I
figured
don't
it out.
know,
I'm
he
gonna take
belongs
advantage of
in
it.
something, I don't know. Okay, call me, okay, bye Sandy, I'm gonna miss you.
talk
on
about
this.
that little piece of property next to.
I think I'm gonna be happy to be gone.
Yeah,
You know, you get the fire hall.
no, get it, another
And it comes
position.
around,
Part-timer.
started clearing here a little
By
bit.
myself.
I'm going back to Wednesday night meetings with
looking good over here.
Lee, torment the shit out of
You got
him.
your sons?
Yeah,
Looking good.
yeah,
You might be
he's
able to-
a go-getter.
We have events.
Looking good.
I don't know, maybe he's building an apartment for me.
And so he said,
Gonna kick me out.
go.
Bye, John.
See you later.
I gotta see where the ladies went.
Just something real quick that, I talked to you about. I should have said it during the regular board meeting, but I made a promise I was gonna talk to the DOT about a few things. Remember I promised at the last meeting I was gonna talk to the DOT about a few things?
Yeah.
Okay, actually, I called them, and it was a couple days later, the regional director called me back.
If this is busy with me then, we can always leave.
Pipe on Route 37, he's drunk the Kool-Aid, he's unwilling to budge on
Thompson
that
Memorial
at all. So my recommendation on that is we gotta reach out to, Walzek and Patty Ritchie and start putting some political pressure on the DOT. 'Cause that's the only way I see
You know,
this.
the square has to be 100
I talked to him about, the traffic signal out by Price Chopper, and that's just gonna require a letter from us
I think
to
that's
ask,
the legal side.
for the town of, with your signature, asking them to do a study to look at, to see if it makes sense or not.
But it's something
The other
that,
was, a speed study for Route 37 through,
Hartsfield talked about
Redwood.
something in here.
Also, I personally like to see, not just the state highway, which they can do with, a direct request from the state to do
Haven't seen
that.
anything yet.
But you got 192 coming into Redwood, it's a county road.
No, it's just
So you have to go
something
through you have to
If we could,
ask the county, and so this is a stupid, you have to do it at the county, and the county will
you've done quite a
invariably
bit
say
on
yes, then the county gets to go with the state, cause the state is the one who ultimately does the speed study.
Yeah.
But, Stein Road, the major road coming in, that's a town road, so we
well,
can,
if I take it out.
sign off on that one.
See,
this
this was
internal.
completely.
You know what comes to mind when you talk about a
I got up
speed study,
one morning
you talk
and
about
I
Route 37, is that if we put
My left ear done.
we put our digital speed sign over on 37, and we clear the memory on it when we put it there,
This one
and then we go
transfers to
take a
this
reading
one.
with the
You know, you're in
laptop
a room
on what's
with a lot of
happened in a
people
week or a
talking.
month or whatever, we can
You hear a
prove,
noise over
we
here,
can
you
show
look and
how
it's
many
coming
cars
from
are
over here.
exceeding the speed limit.
Yeah, but
That-
it's not worth getting into a pissing match, number one. Number two, cause I know this from personal experience, cause
Yeah, but I'm not talking about a pistol match, it's a matter of if we wanna have that speed lower than Redwood.
The
Well-
speaker off, everything, or? Thank you, John.